Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang. Do you know what? I better put my hands straight. It's been a warm one, and time for chamois cream for sure. You don't want to be a bit of chaffish today. Wouldn't be good. I've been out on the bike. Fortunately, plenty of Vatican products available. And don't forget, of course, if you get those as part of the Donny Chaingang, use the discount code, then you will be helping support the Donny Chaingang and helping Russ and myself keep the wheels rolling. Now, we have what is going to be the hottest Chaingang so far this year. Today, there are plenty of fan comments already on the page. There's some comments I won't repeat, and may be careful when we move to them because our red beacon is in the pink today, and going to be trying to go for maximum cooling as well. So, Liam, you have put an image in my head I don't ever need to actually have once again. Now, we are in London. We're heading up Leith Hill after party. We've got a route that we haven't used for a while, and going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. A little bit more flat than the normal after parties that we use in London. And we'll be diving into the detail of that with Russ very shortly. But before we do that, I want to say a massive thank you to Nonnas for last week on the Chaingang. They did an amazing job, and I know lots of the Donny Chaingang riders, both online and in real life, have been over to Nonnas supporting the people that support the sport and support the Chaingang. So a massive thank you to Stefano and to Maurizio. Now we have lots more offers, lots more discounts for members of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, how we keep the gang rolling, how we keep the wheels rolling, how we keep the broadcast coming out. I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody that's joined so far for June. We knew it'd get quieter. It has done. Not as quiet as we maybe thought it would have done, which is great, but the more people in the gang, the better. And it's going to be a fairly quiet one tonight out on the roads of London on Zwift. We'll see what Russ is going to make of that, because Russ hopefully is on the line in the temporary pain cave. Russ, how you doing?
But we'll be right.
It's certainly a bit warm, isn't it? It's 2 fans minimum, I would imagine, tonight.
Yeah, it could be 3, but I can't be bothered to reach and plug the other one in. So yeah, I've got one straight at me and then one underneath me and a window open. So yeah, it'll be right, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's going to be warm pretty much all the way across the country. And I think that's reflected lots of people choosing to ride in the real world, which is not surprising. We knew that we'd get a drop. We'll see how long that stays dropped down if we do have the unfortunate situation of things getting shut down again, but we will see how that goes. Little bit smaller numbers, which means that we've got at the moment it's 27 I think on the start line. I think we're going to be sub 50 for the first time since we started, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's going to be a nice, compact, fast group.
Yeah, hopefully, let's I've heard people say, Paul Whitelaw's had a hard shift at the ice cream van. Other people whinging on about the heat, and yeah, it's a tad warm. So yeah, let's keep it sensible, and then have a good burn up at the end, and let's have a chat for the first 20 minutes. We want to pop some questions out there. Let's not stupid ones. So let's have some fun.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to be real fun out there on the roads. We've got some steady away flat roads before we hit that final drag up to the finish. But of course, it is all about keeping it together up to that point, and I think the differences in riders are going to show. But like you say, lots of people with a tough day at the office today, but we've got plenty more warm weather to come. But we're here all the way through the Chaingang, and certainly looking forward to this route, which we've not done for a while.
No, I said you chatted earlier. You said February or something last time we were here.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's February, or it might even be January. One is January this week, and one is February. Not much difference between them, to be fair.
Yeah, it should be good. I fancied this one. I was looking through the other day, trying to pick somewhere that we haven't been for a while, and Leith stood out. So yeah, let's go for it and let's see what happens. The numbers are ticking up now, 35, and there's a few more coming in. So yeah, it should be a nicely controlled DCG.
That's that's probably what everybody needs after what's been a pretty busy and a bank holiday and a warm one as well. Well, I'm going to let you get off for us, and we'll go a run through the map and the course profile, and no doubt we'll be picking up the phone and chatting to you along the route today.
Yeah, catch you in a bit, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. So great to catch up with Russ there, and Russ getting busy to brief everybody about where we're going and how hilly it is and what we've got in store. So let's show you where we're heading on the Donny Chaingang here live on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. We are heading up Leith Hill After Party, and Leith Hill After Party is slightly different now. Normally we go up Keith Hill, it's shorter. Leith Hill is actually longer. We have a 0.5 lead in. We then head out around effectively the wrong way round the Greater London Flat Circuit, the traditional Thursday circuit. We go and repeat that. Basically, we keep whipping around that circuit. I think it's 3 times around the circuit before we then come round. And just shy of the end of the 3rd circuit, we then take the right-hand turn over the bridge, under the tunnels, and onto Leith Hill proper. Now, Leith Hill proper is a big, long climb. It drags up to the top. It's not overly steep anywhere. And gotta say, it is going to be really interesting to see just how people get on in this heat. The Red Beacon, well, it's an open top bus tonight. I'm sure at the back with Liam Ellis in there. He's definitely one for gaining maximum exposure. And that is for sure. Russ on our Yellow Beacon duties. Total distance tonight, well, it should be hitting the top of the climb at about 42.2k. And we finish at the very top of the hill. It's pretty easy to work out. Let's show you where we are on the fantastic Velo viewer profile. As you can see, maximum gradient on this is on that climb at the end, the 11.4. So we start off bottom left of your screen, down by the Strava. We roll around the circuit. And as you can see, around the bottom, maximum gradient is about 4.8%. We then go across, down into the tunnels, then on to the climb. There's an 8% early on. Go up to a maximum of that 11.4% as we come up towards the summit, with it gradually increasing on the way up. So the more the riders stick together early on, the easier it is for everybody. And let's see just how well everybody can roll around together. Essentially, it rolls round on the flat. We go under the tunnels, and once we're under the tunnels, we're onto the climb proper. Most of the climbing come in that last 5k of climb of those 411 metres, and that means it's all about rolling along with the gang. Some really interesting bike choices as well by the look of it. So going to be very interesting to see just who has the pace as they head out from the line, and who is riding well as they head out. It certainly looks like the riders on the way out, so let's head across to the race. You can just see heading out the Red Beacon and the Yellow Beacon at the moment, heading off away from the start down there in London. And this, of course, Leith Hill After Party takes the standard roll out start here away from the magically moved Olympic Velodrome, and then heads towards the Tower of London, which is nowhere near the two. It's one of the wonders of Zwift that we can do this, and then heading out and on to circuit. So our riders just making the way out from the start gate. Looks like pretty much everybody all away, and we're going to go join the ride live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So welcome to the Downing Cycling YouTube channel, to the Donny Chaingang, the virtual Chaingang, taking place every Tuesday and Thursdays, with our women's only Wednesdays dropping in through the winter as well. And you're watching the action live here with me, Matt Payne, coming to you from the Full Speed Events of Beer Cellar Studios. And we have a nice compact group of riders just watching Russ at the moment making his way along, and let's get the camera spinning in and around. The drone camera has the wonderful advantage that we can pop it up in the air. Russ at the moment in the Donny Chaingang logoed version of the Downing cycling kit, and as you'll see, you can get that in real life as well. And I'm wearing the technical top today because it's a nice cool top. So let's pull Russ up on your screen. Here we go. Russ at the moment ticking along, 103 watts per kilo. 103 watts to 130 watts, 95 revs, 81 beats per minute at the moment, 32 kilometers an hour. Currently traveling along at what is 22 kph, and looks like the group at the moment just rolling over the top of 1.1 kilometers covered already. 12 meters of ascent and going for just over 2.5 minutes. Currently on a downslope now at -2%, and the red beacon today is Liam Ellis, one of the mob from the Stellaton, and he's on sweeper duties today, making sure that everybody is riding well. We are heading out on the Leith Hill after party climb. We're going to be making our way out and around the circuit, and it's not going to be long before we get ourselves out on to the main section of the course. So here we go. The gang out and riding once again, heading underneath the tunnels and out in towards London Central. So it looks like Simon Running just heading off the front, not concentrating, and was busy typing. It very easily done, mate. And I think it's going to take a little bit of getting together. We used to have some very big packs on the Chaingang. At the moment, we're looking at about 37 riders on this. So looks like Sonia is back with us. So Sonia Inslee back in the gang, our first member of the DCG gang. And we've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who's a member of the DCG gang. That's the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. You can see the links on the Donny Chaingang pages, on the Facebook pages for the Donny Chaingang, and it's how we keep the whole show on the road. Russ and myself twice a week bringing you the ride, lots of work all the way through the week. Through the winter when it's really busy with 400 plus riders, then it's pretty much a full-time job with overtime. At the moment a little bit quieter, but still plenty of offers, discounts, lots of planning for next year, as well as all the tech to sort, and of course all the graphics as well. And I think Russ and myself both looking forward to it's getting nice and busy, always nice and buzzy, but the little groups really good fun because it's nice to be able to really keep an eye on some of the regulars who are here, and lots of our sponsors in here, and lots of people who support the riders. Let's jump in with our red beacon first of all, one of the key people who make the ride happen. Now the red beacon at the moment, it is Liam Ellis in here, and Liam, our beacon running for the Stellaton, currently pushing at 3.8 watts per kilo, and looks like the group's going to be a nice steady run along the bottom of the road. I think everybody pretty smart and riding it nice and sensibly, and our beacon with the red chevron in there. He's our sweeper, and at the moment getting a pretty steady race, so he can actually sit in with the main group. Now, our red beacons, they're all volunteers. The rota at the moment got scheduled in up to June, and then I'm sure Gail, our spreadsheet supremo, will be looking for some more names to roll us from the July, August and into the September time. Don't forget, of course, if you're a member of the DCG gang, then we will be making sure that you get all of the details of the rides, as well as all those offers coming direct to your inbox. So Russ on plenty of questions. It's 20 questions for Russ in there. So Wahoo Bike, super smooth. This is where you basically get to distract Russ as much as possible by asking him as many questions as possible. Now our rider's just heading on to the climb, and it looks like this group nicely all together. This is the climb up in towards Trafalgar Square, and this is where the riders, if it wasn't raining in London, which it definitely isn't, it's where you would be able to see the Trafalgar Square, the Nelson's Column section up at the top. Russ on 2 fans tonight, and so I think Russ actually has 3 available. It looks like Sutcliffe just joining the group there. A late joiner, but certainly interested to get in there. It's good to see plenty of questions about the Wahoo bike that Russ is riding. So Mr. Lavery out in the back garden, topping up the town with an ice vest on. That's a brave move today, I think, at the moment. So just watching the gang now making its way in towards the centre of London. And remember, we would be used to going out around the standard route, which is the Greater London Flat, but today we go on to the Greater London Flat, so we head around it the wrong direction. So 26 degrees, Mr. Bolt up in Kirklees. As the riders at the moment just a little bit strung out here as they're making the way off from that climb, just taking its effect on some of our riders' legs. And at the moment looks like Sutcliffe is just a little bit further up the road here. It looks like Liam is in here though, the Skeleton man in the gang here. He's got Booth for company and Miss Cookie as well, as I think they're going to be pushing on to get into the back of that pack. Just a little bit strung out at the moment. So this is where the beacon gets to start work and start to pull the riders in, and of course got to get back on the wheels before they take the right hand turn up from St James's Palace, which is actually directly in front of our riders at the moment, and going up towards the top of the climb. So a red beacon riding well on the way through at the moment with Miss Cookie for company. 4 seconds up the road is Booth, 6 seconds up the road is the main yellow beacon group, and that group just distancing our beacon at the moment. Let's jump in with our yellow beacon, in with Russ at the moment as Russ moves his way on to the climb. So just coming around the turn there and up on to the climb proper. And for a minimal number of riders, it's already broken up rather a lot up on to this climb. And you just see at the moment our riders away at the front, a group of riders off the front, a group of riders off the back, and sandwiched in the middle is the yellow beacon group. So it looks like Neil from the crosscast trying to drag that group back towards the main beacon group. The main yellow beacon group just going to drop our way towards Booth. Looks like Mr. Whitelaw just doing a little bit of work by dropping back to go help the beacon behind us go over the top. Our beacon and Miss Cookie trying to chase down the main group. Now the big group's not going to have too much in the way of draft dynamics because it does have the numbers reduced somewhat. So it looks like Martin Bolt, Liam Ellis and Miss Cookie at the moment on the chase, trying to close down the group, but that group is definitely stretching out, and looks like the bus forming early. So 3 riders just distanced off the back of that main pack. Looks like Neil from the crosscast at the back is going to be feeling the heat. Neil riding at the moment for 2 rests per minute from Neil, just trying to drop back for Paul Whitelaw by the look of it. So Paul got distracted and got distance, and looks like Neil dropping back for regular Whitelaw. You know, Paul Whitelaw's had a very busy day. Just for Paul's information, today's ice cream of choice for myself was a honeycomb vanilla. It was very nice indeed. But I know Paul was saying on the chat early on, over 400 litres of ice cream moved by the time he left and was ordered up to the main group now. Whitelaw goes up past Neil from the crosscast. Neil's going to kick in to help Paul Whitelaw back in. You can just see Neil's numbers going up below the blue bar. That's up at 4.9. Once we get a 4.5 as they go and push back in to the group here. So just seen Mr. Whitelaw making it back onto the back of the pack there. Mr. Richardson there as well. You can see Andy Horse in the main group, Martin in here, Dr. D in with the group, Vin Donahue in as well, Rich Orrell, looks like Simon running in the main pack here, Andy Scullen, Aston Cutie, Mr. Osmond is in this group, and Richardson then behind it. Looks to me like Liam has got Martin Bolt for company, but looks like cookie distance from those two riders at the moment. The heat definitely starting to take its toll. I think I'm going to be making my way through a lot of OGE Hydro, the orange Hydro tabs that got an exclusive run out with the members of the DCG gang before anybody else. It's the business and certainly working well. So a group along the top of the side of High Park, just dropping away from that down towards the Thames on the way through the square at the moment. This group riding well together. Just looking through the riders, could see any Denches in here, Phil Labrie in here, Dr. D, Owen Davis riding nice and strong at the moment. Looks like Martin back in with us, John Garford's here, Dixon all as well. Seen Dan Coleman just near the back of the pack here at the moment. Just watching Mr. Coleman yo-yo his way around the group at the moment. Meanwhile, the main pack holding well together here. Just going to jump in with Russ and keep an eye on the group. So Russ rolls his way down along the river. But this pack working well together as we usually find on a smaller group. A little bit fractured, but it does take a little while to get used to the dynamics of that smaller group. So the pack rolling along well. Time to jump in and grab hold of Russ. Let's see how Russ is. I think he's been a little distracted today. He's just currently sat on the back of the pack. Russ, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
It's rolling along quite well, isn't it?
It's quite calm, actually, isn't it? You know, I'm just playing around to see how low I can get my revs and my heart rate, really.
Loving it. I'm loving it. It's super smooth. It's kind of like how low can you go, how steady can you go, and the pack is just about holding. But interesting to see one or two people just struggling with the different dynamics, the different draft. Is that something that you're feeling as you're riding? Does it feel a little bit different?
It's definitely in slow motion. Normally, it's absolutely like who's doing that, who's doing this. It's kind of nice. It's like I say, it's a cruisy ride, and you know it's not going to be no cruisy ride at the end for the climb. So you know we're going to get some great power laid down on the final climb, which is good. You know we're all going to have fresh legs, which is nice. Yeah,
definitely. He says squeakily. Yeah, I think it's going to be some very fresh legs because it does look though that look, if you look at the numbers and the wattage, people are still working quite hard, but the pace is down as much because there's less riders.
Yeah, you know, we're all at 2s, 2.5s, which is a good little tempo. So, you know, I think we'll all squeeze that when we get to the climb. It's going to be 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s. So, you know, we're just saving the volts for the Leith Hill.
Well, definitely, and I think that's key, isn't it? I think we've got to keep the pace rolling and keep it ticking along, but save enough for the climb. And Leith Hill, it's a long drag, isn't it? There's no real one steep step.
No, I think there's a steepish section, I think, at one bit.
It is, but it's still quite. It is still quite a long, gradual climb, isn't it?
Yeah. Have we got a downhill bit in it as well?
Not that I can remember, but it's been a long time. Do you know what? It's been a long time since I've been here. I think the last time I was watching or commentating on anything on this was actually just part of Surrey Hills, part of the Women's Team Cup, and then they went round Surrey Hills and there was about 6 different climbs, so they all kind of blurred into one because it was pretty frantic, like a Donny Chaingang. But at the moment, our riders definitely looking a little bit steadier than that, and good to see that we've got time to actually take some sights in.
Yeah, you know, just say it is a while since we've gone there, and I think it's Keithville that's got the slight downhill in it. So yeah, we're definitely all uphill then. So yeah, let's go for it.
Well, you might be regretting that choice of disc and deep wheel, but let's see.
Nah, we'll be right, mate. I need it.
Need it on the flat pitch, yeah, right. Well, we'll catch up with you a little bit later on. Russ, enjoy.
Yeah, it's nice this, you know. I've got a feather there just waiting away, so...
Oh, he's let us into the secret. Well, we will see whether you need to use it.
I'm sure I will. I need a couple of them, I think.
You and me both. Cheers, Russ. Catch you soon.
Mate.
So great to catch up with Russ on him. Very chilled out for Yellow Beacon on his way down the straight, and that's, I think, just reflected in the ride at the moment as Russ makes his way down here. Russ's heart rate at the moment 74 beats per minute. Just definitely not natural. So just taking a little bit of a look at our beacon. That's Ellis with Bolt behind, just taking along at just some 2.5 watts per kilo. Looks like Miss Cookie having a cruise in the sunshine down alongside Westminster Abbey and alongside the Houses of Parliament. So looking pretty smooth. The Bolt and duo just up there. Looks like Richardson at the moment just yo-yoing around the back of the group. Russ sat on the back after being distracted on the section there, and the group on the way up. I wonder if Russ will call a sprint because they're taking it nice and steady. Is he going to be mean and call a sprint part way around? Something that we used to do when we had very small numbers, but you couldn't rely when the bigger numbers are there on it all coming back together again. But I think with the numbers of riders we got, it may well be possible. Let's see if Russ is feeling mean. So a sprint and a regroup as we come in to the mall. Let's see who's got the sprinting legs on. We're looking for the big fat cyclist. Here he is, not too far away. So tricky to get to people at the moment on the group when it's like this. So let's jump in with Gareth Mason. Mason, the fat cyclist, always in that red and black kit. Thank you very much, sir, for riding the same kit every time. So the gang going to wait up once they get beyond the sprint. The sprint is going to be down on the way in to the mall, into that sprint line finish. Let's see at what time these riders can do. Let's see whether they're going to be able to pull it in, and then there'll be a proper regroup with a backing right off on the pace on the way in. When we hit the sprint, it's going to be really interesting to see how that rides. Now you can see the people who know what they're doing, who ride regularly on a Zwift. Look at Mason. He's moved to the back of the group. So Mason dropping back. You see Downing dropping near the back. Looks like Neil from the Crosscast rolling around the back there. Booth at the back. Nobody will want to be on the front here because the way to put the fastest sprint time in is to go from the back and to work your way through the group. And that is what this group of riders need to do now. They need to be smart about this. So if you take a look down this group, the key here is for the pace to start picking its way up now. So you've got to go from the back and then go all the way through the front. So here we go. As it rolls in, the pace on the front is relatively immaterial to these riders. It's the pace who will set the fastest time. You can see the gantry coming. The sprint line goes in less than 100 meters. Now some people are going very, very early from the front, but the key here is to wind it up so you hit maximum speed as you hit the green line. We're riding in with the man in the red and black. Look at that time to perfection out the saddle as he hits the sprint line. Looks like Coleman going well behind as well. Some big numbers. 15 watts per kilo nearly coming out of Mason, the fat cyclist. What's the time's going to be when they come up on the screen? Who's going to have that? Coleman took it in the blue and white at 12.11. Craig Genther putting in a massive power turn. That man's definitely recovered from COVID. 12.42 and a 12.48 from Mason, and you just see he's jumping right off the pedals there, right off the pressure. Some huge kicks on the way through. It's going to take a little check at Sonia Inslee. It's 16.28. Good time from Sonia as well. As these riders go down the straight, Sonia Inslee taking the women's green jersey there. The men's going on the back of Dan Coleman. A great kick from Coleman, and this is where the regroup really does need to happen super fast here. So this is all about bringing this group back together again. That's going to have stretched some legs. Interesting to see It's been some good times. So Russ getting a 5th place in there. So just a message coming in from Craig Herring. Good to have Craig watching. The man who's resting his legs a little bit at the moment, saying, damn, can't believe I missed an intermediate sprint. I used to love them on the old school DCG. Well, he did indeed, and we used to do them all the time, but when we've only got little numbers, we can recreate them. But it is essential that the gang pull back together again, please, guys. So we do need you to pull back together again. We're going to jump in with Sean Ferren. So Ferren currently the back of the main pack at the moment, and it looks like Sean just pushed his way now. I know Sean went pretty hard on that. Let's have a little bit of a let's see if we can pull the time. We're not going to get the screen up just yet for the sprint to come around again, but Sean doing a massive pace on there. So looks like Russ at the moment is the last of the riders on the way up into the pack. The group's still a little strung out at this point in time. If we drop back to Ellis and Bolt, they didn't lose too much time. In fact, that helped them gain a little bit of time back on the main group there. So just taking a little bit of a look here. Russ just up the road. So it looks like we'll be seeing Craig Herring back again. So we make our way onto Beach Island Loop on Thursday again. Small numbers allows us to do a little bit more with the gang. We can experiment, we can put in some harder intermediate efforts, but we do rely on everybody coming back and rolling back together again. You see here as we climb up the hillside, pretty much everybody rolling together. Chris Ball just going behind Russ there. Ball quickly out of the saddle. It looks like Dan Coleman, the man who just got the kick in, just sat at the side of the road there, just waiting for us, taking advantage of Russ being at the back to make his way in. And this is the back of the pack now making its way up around the turn at the top. This is one of the key points. When we go the opposite direction, just seeing Sonia Inslee just backed off the pedals there to let the group come back together again. Thank you, Sonia. So just riding in with the men's green jersey, Dan Coleman. Let's take a little bit of a look, keeping those revs nice and smooth at the moment. The fastest sprint time for the men with Dan with a 12.11, a 16.284. Sonia Inslee on her way through, and this group's still a little fractured. You can see the damage that's done to the group when we go for a sprint, and this is why it's almost impossible when we have a huge group. So when we go over that 100 rider mark, putting it into immediate sprint basically means the end of the ride and it's a group, and it sees the start of the breakup. Now by putting intermediate sprinting with a smaller group, it does definitely stretch people's legs, and you can just see what's happened to the group, fractured now into 3 or 4 groups of riders. This is where we get to see just who is paying attention to where that yellow beacon is. So it looks like at least one rider just distanced by the pace over the top. And I think Sonia Inslee paying for waiting for the group there. Currently at 4.5 watts per kilo, putting in an aero power up at the moment. So I think we're going to need Russ to call a regroup here, because otherwise we're not going to see Sonia getting back into this group. That gap is at 5-6 seconds, and if we take a little bit of a look back from Sutcliffe, you can just about see Sutcliffe making his way onto the group, but Sonia, who waited, currently being distanced by that pack and really having to work hard to get back into that group. So it looks to me like that pack is just about starting to come together properly, and Sonia Inslee just about making it in with the group now. So Sonia's back in. Good riding by Sonia to get back into the pack. Paul Whitelaw at the moment sitting on the back of the group, 48 seconds back to the Beacon group, currently running at 2.5 watts per kilo. chatting with the fastest ice cream salesman in the West, Paul Whitelaw. Sat in with the group. We're going to jump across to another member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, and the Scotland in this group. Just riding along. Interesting to note he's gone for a relatively aero bike, but not the full disc option here. Just going to take a little bit of a look at cross, because Neil's, I know Neil was out on the bike, so with the gritty crew over the previous bank holiday weekend quite a lot, and Neil of course putting those photography skills to good use as well, and good to see Neil, Caroline and all the gang out in the real world. I know they were running around the eastern moors around Sheffield and getting some miles in that kit, but at the moment Neil in there. If you're a member of the DCG gang, don't forget of course that you can get a 20% discount on all the bib shorts on the site, but you need to be a member of the DCG gang to get that. Don't forget of course some great discounts on the DCG gang at the moment. So if you are a member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club at the moment, we have discounts 20% off gritty bib shorts. We have an extra 10% discount off anything online or in store over and above the already discounted prices. So there's already 20, 30, 40% off at 1080. Big Oakley stockists, Fox stockists, anything that you get, extra 10% as a member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Halo, of course, with a 10% discount. That's on things like sealant, rim tapes, valves, as well as on their fantastic wheels. I can say that with certainty, having been out on a set of Halo mountain bike wheels, the Enduro wheels, and today looking forward to taking them down to the mountain bikes, the National Mountain Bike Series, back on bike in real life for the first time on the weekend. That's down at Woody's Bike Park in Fowey. Now, don't forget, of course, Fella Skin with a big discount, so there's a 10% discount for all the members in June, and of course totally free exclusive samples OTU with a 20% discount for all our members of the Donny Chaingang as well all the way through the month. Grand Tour coffee, of course, with discounts available from Russ, direct from him for the double day in the Yellow Beacon blend, and of course a big discount on cold beers. Yes, cold beers from the Cold Bath Brewing Company. Some fantastic Pils beers with £5 discount off the £30 box price. 6 beers, the pint glass, branded pint glass, the beer blade bottle opener, and of course the DCG stickers as well in with that pack. So don't forget all those discounts available. All you need to do is to join the Donny Chaingang and get all of the links direct to the events in your direct to your inbox. You also get all of those discount codes. You get our insights into where we're headed and what we're up to, and of course the odd random picture in there as well. So the pack's steadily making the way around London. Let's jump across to our Red Beacon duo. It is a very cosy bus for two. Martin and Liam getting up close and personal around the circuit at the moment, and Liam at the moment just on the front. Martin glued to that back wheel at the minute, and these two riders just coming down towards Battersea Power Station alongside the Thames, just across the river from them as they come down to the riverside. So from the Red Beacon up to the Yellow Beacon, and looks like Russ just patrolling the front of that group at the moment. So Russ just keeping a check on the power that the riders are putting down as they made their way along. Currently all rolling around about the 2.5 to 3 watts per kilo. So Russ just stretching his legs out, going from the front to the back of the pack. Jumping in with the head of the pack at the moment. These riders push along. Dixon all looking pretty smooth in that Ineos Grenadiers jersey. Of course, Ineos Grenadiers again a fantastic victory in the Giro. We celebrated that with the Nonna's Giro week, though we celebrated in the last week. It was a fantastic Giro. If you haven't watched the coverage, so make sure you get yourselves on to Eurosport Player or similar and catch up with all of the actions. Some fantastic riding in there. Great to see some of our regulars from the Chaingang out in action. So as the riders go past MI6, the pack riding well, and looks like a little bit of a pickup in the pace here as the riders start to approach Parliament. Quite a few riders making sure they keep out of trouble, just in with Owen Davis as they go past the right hand turn. So when we come around on our last lap, we'll be heading right over the bridge there and in towards the tunnels. This is the section of the route we won't do, but it looks like this group are all back together again at the front, the yellow beacon group. Clear of the red beacon group at the moment, and the gap between the front and the back currently sitting around about the 2 minutes 20 mark. So the road is now between Westminster Abbey and the Houses of Parliament. Going to be taking the left turn. The London Eye visible on the right hand side, and before they hit Whitehall they'll take this left hand turn. Round they go. So around the left turn, and with the Big Ben Bell Tower in the background, the Foreign Office and the halls of Westminster all to the riders right. They're going to head down in towards St James's Park and back along past Birdcage Walk in towards the Wedding Cake, around the side of Buckingham Palace and up onto Constitution Hill. So around the Wedding Cake with the mall in the background, our riders now on to Constitution Hill, and this is where it soon picks up and the climb coming in. It kicks in. If we pull up in Davis's figures here, you can see the road has gone from that -0 up on to Constitution Hill, and this drag up here pulls our riders up towards the top of the climb. It's not the world's biggest climb, but it's enough quite often to split the group out. So riders up towards the top of the climb at the moment. This group well together, just taking a little bit of a look at the numbers. Nobody seeming to struggle too much with this. Just the one yo-yoing at the back of the group at the moment, just keeping it steady at the back as the riders push on over the top. Just following those riders in back to our beacon, just making the way around the side of the turn there. And drop back across to Russ at the back of the group. Looks like Darrell Waller sitting in behind the group. So Tashul, Waller, Chris Ball, Russ Denny, and Donny at the back. So it looks like it's going to be a last minute call here, and it looks like it's going to be a sprint on the way in here. Now this is going to be late notice for it, so sprint and a regroup if people want to do this. Is been another one put in. So Russ has called a late sprint on the way through, and this is going to be interesting, not giving people much time to get into position very quickly. You can just see Mason Tatchell Waller going in there. We're riding with Coleman at the moment. Let's see if he is going to try and defend this. You can just see one or two people starting to go hard very, very early indeed. This is going to stretch a few legs out for people who want that extra little kick, and it looks like Coleman sat in at this group. Andy Hawes is definitely going for it at the moment. Sonia Inslee's gone again. And you can just see these riders. Look at the numbers coming in. There's 12s, 12.5s coming in. Sonia Inslee up at nearly 9 watts per kilo as well. So let's take a look at Coleman's not touched this time with the 12.1. Sonia Inslee though does reduce the time down. Takes another second. 1.03 seconds off the time, and you can see that with the new PB. So a few PBs going in there, the few fastest times, so great to see. And the group now going to have to do a little bit of a regroup. The pack just strung a little bit out. I'm sure they'll get back together pretty quickly indeed. Those riders who didn't sprint won't have worked the race too hard. Hopefully it looks like Mr. Flynn just taking a little bit of pressure off those legs. 16.26 for Jim Flynn. So a big regroup being called by Russ there as people try and get the legs back together, and Cootie just rolling into the back of Russ. So Jim currently sitting at 19 seconds off Russ, and probably about 5 seconds at the back of the group. He's going to be going into that pattern. I think Flynn now could well be seeing the riders behind. He's going to come around this turn. He's got to ignore the time checks on the side for the moment. So call coming in from Russ to hold the pace on the front of the group. Around the turn comes Flynn. So it looks like Russ just taking the pressure off the pack. Bolts and Ellis not all that far behind the group. Looks like Tatchell Waller just dropping back there a little bit, just holding his horses. Could well be sort of wait for Jim here. Jim may well be able to jump on to a wheel here. Now Tatchell Waller just waiting to see if he goes back in, or whether he's going to drop out here. So it looks like a drop out. Flynn trying to chase it here, but Dench and Downey are two riders at the back. Plenty of sore legs up the front. if all the riders ride off, it'd make my life a lot easier, to be honest, because I could just focus on Russ and anybody behind him. We should be 5 riders. Should be great. Unfortunately, it looks like everybody is rolling back together again. So not going to be an easy day for me as we go up onto the climb. The group coming back together again. Behind the lead group, we've got Jim Flynn just dropping by a touch, and Martin Bott and Liam Ellis on Red Beacon chasing behind, sweeping up from the back. They'll have plenty of people to sweep. Let's go up onto the climb. So very interesting, Russ putting the message out that nobody's regrouping after the sprint, and I think if ever there was a good way of showing just what those splits are, this is the way of doing it. Could do an old school name and shame up at the front. Looks like the group at the very front, definitely taking some pace off the pack. The gang here, 0.5s, 0.4s, 1s and 2s, so it looks like they've kind of got the message here. Just take it nice and steady, just seeing the groups behind, just waiting for the Russell group, which is Dench, Genther, Dubash in there, and that pack's starting to come together. So Richardson just dropping back to give Russ a hand. A few people getting caught out, not being attentive to the pack, but quickly pulling it back together. Great to see, guys. And you can just see from the pack, it is now starting to nicely reform. Richardson just in the back, pulling it back in again. Like all good games, you've got to play the game to get to do the fun stuff. And it looks like that pack just started to come back together once again. So on the climb out from the underpass, the point where people's nerves normally start jangling. Gang is all back together at the yellow beacon group. The red beacon group just sweeping from the back, trying to mop people up. Just take a little bit of a look at those time gaps. 23 seconds back to Jim Flynn, 2:36 back to Ellis. So Ellis and gang should be sweeping in towards Flynn and co. Main pack basically all together once again, hardly anything separating the riders. Quite literally 2 seconds from the front to the back of the pack, which is hardly anything. I mean, we've got a busy day on the Chaingang. That can be 20-30 seconds even when everybody's mobbed up together. So 30k done. Our riders have the rest of this lap to almost complete, and then up on to the hill to do. So as our riders now steadily heading away from the Serpentine, that's a stretch of blue on the map, dropping down into towards the side of Harris. You can see all lit up on the left hand side. We're going to take the left turn here, drop away from Kensington, dropping down in towards the river, and on towards the bridges, across the bridge and dropping down under the underpass before coming up onto the big climb. So it looks like Russ just busy, can't imagine what would have distracted him for the last couple of minutes, but the beacon just off the back at the moment. The gang just waiting for Russ to jump in with the back. Russ's heart rate keeping reasonably steady as he comes down along the riverside, and you can just see Russ on that green and black Pinarello Dogma run along quite nicely at the moment. Don't forget, of course, Russ supported by Pinarello for a long time now, pretty much all his career, so great to see he is running well at the back of this pack, just laying off a little bit here, but definitely a slightly steadier pace after those sprints on the way through. Now don't forget, we've got quite a run in to go, and I think we are going to see the riders heading into those tunnels pretty soon. I wonder if Paul Whitelaw has done any recovery on the ride after a long stint in the ice cream cart up in Ambleside. Sun shone, the ice cream sold, and Paul's feet got worn out, that's for sure. So Mason knows these roads really well in red and black near the back of the pack. 80 Dench riding just on the wheels of Russ, who is our beacon in the grey. Just see him put alongside Whitelaw immediately behind him. Waller just moving up in that orange, blue and black kit. And all these riders just about rolling around together at the minute. Nobody wanting to expend too much energy at the moment. Looks to me like Russ sat nicely in the group here. So Sonia Ainslie in with the pack, Ian Taylor in here, our man behind the 1080 Oakley Weeks, the Here Comes the Sun Week, all those fantastic giveaways as well as Oakley August last year, and massive thanks to Ian and all the team at 1080, a real staunch supporter of the Donny Chaingang online. I've got to say a massive thank you to him, and a man to talk to if you want to know just what to get in terms of shades. I've got to say his recommendation is some radar EVs with the elevated top line, really handy, and some great choice of lenses from him as well. The dappled shade that I was going through today, trying to keep out the sun as much as possible, belted around the tracks and trails down near me, it definitely meant that the right shades today were really critical. But, crystal clear vision, didn't steam up at all, even though they probably should have done. The amount of energy I was kicking out on the way up. So right hand turn, not many K's left to go. Russ leaving it very late today. So round the turn we go, in towards the summit very soon indeed. You can see everybody starting to get a little bit twitchy now as the riders make their way along here. All of a sudden, Neil from the crosscast pushes up to the front. You just see people just having speculative digs on the front here. Nobody wants to get caught out when Russ calls it. It's getting twitchy, you can feel it, and the go has gone. Well, the twitchiness was right from people, because the go has gone. What a place to call it. We're on the side of the river. We're going to drop down in underneath the tunnels here, and you can just see absolutely everybody is lined out here as we come down onto that elevator drop. 15% descent, and look at the gaps that have opened up in this group. Russ at the moment chasing in with that pack as they come around that turn, but this is going to be tricky today for everybody to hold on, and you can already see ones and twos getting taken off the back of the pack, but the main group at the front really pushing the pace up here. 60 kph, so 40 miles an hour along this, and this is the flat, this is not downhill, and through those tunnels, and they were over very quickly indeed. Rob Taylor right on the heels of the riders here. Looks like Martin in the same kind of boat. Simon Martin sat in the same kind of position, but everybody really is lined up waiting for the big kick here. Craig Genther on the front now. Mason just starting to make his presence felt. Just looking to chase it down, but it's Genther who's started to put the pressure on early here. We've done the turn. We're on to Leith Hill here. Now, conflicting data on the top of the climb about exactly where the top of the circuit and just how long this route is, depending on who you believe, makes the numbers are different from 41.6 to 46.1. Interestingly enough, is the distances that are quoted. Personally, I think this is going to be 41.6, and all of a sudden Russ, for a man who was taking it nice and steady, suddenly he's got the dig on here. It's just 5.3 watts per kilo. Craig Ganther just going onto the heels here of the riders in front. So it's Whitelaw, Coleman and Mason, with Genther in the green chasing Downing, the man with the beacon on his head. Then behind Dick Samuel on a great ride here, really pushing on here with Lavery, Rob Taylor, Chris Darby, Neil from the Crosscast in contention, Ian Taylor onto the bottom of the climb here. And at the moment these riders are really starting to ramp up the pressure. Now look at this, Mason has put in the feather at 400 plus watts per kilo, but is that going to be enough to keep him in contention with a very, very tough group here? Lavery in the front in the black, just starting to see a Russ Downing closing on his back wheel, so it's Lavery leading out in the black at the moment. Then it is in the white, grey and blue shoulders. That's Coleman. Then it's Paul Whitelaw in the multicolored strip behind the blue and a red strip. Then it's going to be Russ Downing, then Mason. And Coleman at the moment just drifting towards the back of that group as Lavery pushes on here. So it's Lavery leading them up here. They've got a select group behind. So it looks like Neil from the Crosscaster leading the chaser behind here, with Darby just distanced a little bit here. So it looks like Russ now on to the front, wanting to keep the pressure high, wanting to keep the pace on. Not going to give this away today. There's going to be no free rides to the top on this climb. That's going to be a certainty. At the moment you can just see we've got Downing, Lavery, then Coleman sitting on the wheel of Whitelaw behind Mason, and then it's going to be Neil from the Crosscast 4 seconds back to Genther there. But look at the gaps starting to open as Russ stretches out the old pedals here. He's pushing on, and it does level a little bit here. This is where the disc wheel is going to be of an advantage when it gets to the really steep stuff at the 11% marker. That's not going to be the case, but all of a sudden Whitelaw now has seen the front. Is this the move? Is this where he's going to make a move here? Dangerous place to let him go if you do. And Whitelaw now in the characteristic orange anymore as the gaps have opened. Neil from the Crosscast being distanced back to 7 seconds. Genther at 9 seconds. Taylor and Darby at 13. Sutcliffe at 27 seconds with 30 seconds to Richardson, 32 to Osmond and Martin and Samuel. But this is the leading group. These are the guys who are going to be fighting it out for the finish here. Whitelaw on the very front, then Mason in the red and black. Coleman moving up very, very quickly here. Downing with that chevron floating above his back. That can't do your aerodynamics much good. Just starting to push on the right hand side. Lavery moves to the back, take a little bit of shelter. And this group of 5 riders really are going to be the cream of the crop as we come up towards the steepest section of the climb. It will pull up a little bit more here at the moment. These riders are working well together. So the front of the string, it's going to be Whitelaw, then Mason just moving on his left hand side here. And these riders continue up the climb, kicking out of the saddle a little bit is Lavery here Whitelaw putting the odd kick here. He's a little less smooth than we've normally seen Whitelaw. And Whitelaw, as they move on to these slopes, you can see the red numbers on the top of your screen, 7% now. As it continues to kick in, still at 6%. These riders are putting the pressure on. Downing again, keeping the pace high. Doesn't want to give this away. Whitelaw's gone with him here, and the rest are going to have to respond. Downing has taken Whitelaw clear. Coleman now moving on to the wheels as Whitelaw starts to push. Downing responding 8.5, 7.5 at the moment. The riders who are being distanced, the two riders who have been dropped off the back by that move by Russ is Gareth Mason, the fat cyclist, and Phil Lavery in the black. They've been distanced. Lavery's pushing hard to try and get that gap back, but this is the group of three leaders now as they start to make their way up towards the upper sections of the climb. They've still got a fair old way to go on this climb yet though, and looks like Whitelaw wanting to keep the pressure on, trying to keep the pace high. So the gaps are starting to open. Lavery, the only rider in with a reasonable chance of getting across, currently sitting at 3 seconds, 4 seconds. He's in no man's land at the moment, is Lavery. So if we drop back to Lavery, you can see behind Lavery, that is Mason behind him in the front. That's the group. It's 3 seconds to them. They've got to get that gap closed down. So Lavery's going to be seeing Mason on his heels very shortly indeed. Here comes Mason, so it's going to be 3 at the front, but it looks to me like there's been another little kick up there, and that little kick has come from Whitelaw, just pushed on a little bit. Downing goes and pulls him back. Now Coleman goes over the top. Downing responds to it. Whitelaw just drops in to the wheels. That little bit of a rise, just stretching the riders once again as they come in. They're going to take this left hand too. Going to get another kick again. So slight kick and then leveling for a very short while. Then that final long ramped slope with all the group of riders now on to Leith Hill. The left-hand turn is made at the moment, 0%, and looks like Whitelaw is just pushing on. Now we're onto the timed section of the climb of Leith Hill. The timed section is 1.9k long, and that is less than half of the total length of this hillside. And that soon becomes apparent when you come onto the climb. If you just look at the stats, you'll look at the 1.9 and think, oh, it's only a short climb. It's not. It's about 5 kilometers of climbing, but it really is the case that if you want the times from it, you've got to look at the last 1.9 kilometers, and that's where the riders are now, who are leading this up there on to the final sections. The final countdown has begun as the riders make the way, trying to climb up towards the top. So Russ trying to buy the win. Not sure what you're going to buy in, because you haven't got any building materials, Russ. You've pretty much run out of them. You don't need to buy ice cream from Mr. Whitelaw. He's got more ice cream than he knows what to do with, although he might be running out if he carries on the way he was going today in Ambleside. Now our leading group of 3 riders are together as they continue to push on, and Downing just going on to the side there. You can see is Russ just playing it canny here. You can see the riders he's with just continuing to push, and Russ needs to get in to that group. Let's take a little bit of a check to see what Downing's doing at the moment. Well, bit left in reserve, just keeping an eye on that heart rate of Russ Downing. He's got a little bit left in there, that's for sure. So Downing currently sitting at 148 beats per minute, Whitelaw 137. Coleman, no heart rate monitor on him. It's going to be sky high, 373 watts for him. Just the most we saw, 354, 360 for Whitelaw at the moment on his heels. Russ kicking out 250, 260. Now going up into the 350s just to get onto the wheels. This group now have 20 seconds to Phil Lavery, 35 to Neil Mansfield from Gritty from the Crosscast, then 47 to get third, Derby and Taylor. A really interesting group there as we kick into the steeper section. 10% now coming up on these riders, and you can just see it is starting to take its toll. The heart rate's starting to go up for them. The numbers aren't silly high at the moment. They're only 4.5 watts per kilo, and I think these riders are saving something for that final section. It's going to ease again here, then we're going to have another kick in. The gantry just starting to show on the top of the map on the screen. So will it be Coleman's day? Has Whitelaw kept enough in reserve? Is the bear going to roll his way into the front? Well, the claws are sharpened. He's currently in the group. Whitelaw, though, keeping the pace on. He's keeping on, pushing on. Next kicker, 10% again here as these riders come in past Billy's left-hand side. And nothing really to choose between these three at the moment. Downing in the grey with the yellow chevron above him, our ride leader. Coleman in the white jersey with the light blue shoulders and the grey band in the middle. At the back of the group of three, it is the dark blue, light blue and red, the AHDR jersey of Whitelaw. Whitelaw going to be fancied up to that 12%, that 11.8% section now, and it's not too far to go. And all of a sudden Downing puts a little bit of a kick. He didn't let it go into the red numbers too soon there. He kept a little bit sneaky move there by rolling away. Now is Downing going to hold this to the end? Whitelaw is in pursuit here. Has he left it too late to come after Downing? And Coleman's having to respond, but look at Coleman. Coleman's got a feather flag above his head as he uses that to try and get back on to the wheels. Is Whitelaw going to blast straight past? Well, look at this. Downing can see a Whitelaw in front, and Whitelaw has kicked on and over the top of Russ. Russ is trying to respond to this, but it could well be it's going to be the day for the ice cream man from the Leith district. We'll see. Downing and Coleman are together. It's going to level off, but that gantry is going to come quickly for these riders. It's not going to be that far ahead for Whitelaw. We go up, it's got a little kick to the left, and the gantry comes into sight very, very quickly this direction, up Leith Hill. When we use this as Keith Hill, it's a little bit more of a bit of vision. You can just see it's peeking out beyond the corner there. That's the pink and white polka dots. Whitelaw's seen it. He's got the pressure on now. 6 seconds from Whitelaw to Coleman. 8 seconds to Downing. This is the move that's going to take Paul Whitelaw in and home, coming up at 42.6k. So what the members were sent out today, so pleased with that. And Whitelaw's going to be pleased, taking a victory as he comes through the top. Next up is going to be Coleman, so it's Whitelaw with 5 minutes at 20.4 leading time in through the gantry. Now comes Coleman up behind. Coleman's going to come through. What time's Coleman going to get? Second place through, and Coleman goes through with a 5:38. Next up, it's going to be Russ Downing. Russ making his way towards the line, so 5:20 and 5:38. You see just how quickly those gaps opened out on these riders. So Downing goes through a 5:53 for Russ as he hits the line behind him. We've got a real battle though. If we take a little bit of a look up, looks quite quiet, doesn't it? Oh no, it doesn't, because they're queuing up behind Craig Genther here. 3 riders all waiting to see if they can take it away from Genther. They're on that final run to the line here. Genther's at 4.1. Neil from the Crosscast is pushing, but Genther's got a sprint in here. He doesn't want passing at this stage. He knows that gantry's just in front of him round the corner. Genther continues to push his distance. Neil from the Crosscast, a little bit of an easy impact. That might have been a really hard kick, but he's paying for it now. Definitely. Look at that heart rate, 175 beats per minute. He's got another kick. Keeps on putting in a little dig as he comes in towards the line. Next in, it's going to be a 4th place here for Craig Genther. And Craig's time in through the line as he comes in just ahead of Neil from the Crosscast. Genther goes through with a 6:03. Neil from the Crosscast comes through with a 6:16. And looks like Lavery just rolling in with them there. Behind it then, you can see coming towards the line, it's Rod Taylor comes through. So Taylor with another great ride. So it's Taylor, then it's going to be Derby. Derby on that final stretch in towards the line. So it was Whitelaw, Coleman, Downing, Genther, Neil from the crosscast, then Lavery, then Taylor. Darby comes through the line immediately behind him. Then it's going to be, I think, Martin, the next rider on his way up here. But he's got company in the shape of Connolly. So these two riders can't afford to leave it too late. And I think Connolly's just timed that right. He's at 6.6 watts per kilo here. He's going to push on. He's opening the gap. These last slopes are absolutely cruel. As you come up to the top, it's going to be Connolly, our next rider in through the line. Then we're going to drop back to Martin. So it's going to be Martin, the next rider coming through. So Simon Martin comes in and through the line, clear of Richardson. So Richardson's going to be our next rider in. Richardson continues to push to the line here. So another great finish by Richardson ahead of Rich Orrell. This is going to be one of Rich Orrell's best performances as well. We've seen Craig Ezra on some serious form today, coming in the top and incredibly hot on that last climb. And that is for sure very, very fast to come in. Looks like Simon Runnett having what must be one of his best rides, but he's got to watch out because Osmond's coming for him here. Osmond's got the feather flag in and Osmond's just about going to get him on the line here. So it's going to be Osmond comes through, so it's Osmond, then it's going to be Runnett, then it's going to be Sutcliffe being chased hard here by Donahue. Donahue working well all the way up to the finish. Look at the comments on the chat that coming out. I'm not surprised. Really tough day to be climbing the hill at the end, adding those intermediate sprints just to make life even more interesting indeed, and it really has tested the riders. Now Chris Ball on his way up towards the line. I think Ball's going to be in potentially inside the top 20, inside that mark as he goes through the line. Dick Samuel's going to be inside the top 20 as well, and I think it's going to be Ian Taylor. Russ claiming that the disc wheels lost him that one. I think that might be the legs, mate. Maybe all that work on the pain cave taking its toll as AD Dench pushing towards the line. So Dench going up. Looks like Vin Donahue just got a PB by 2 minutes up that climb. Andy Hall's trying to get Dench there. No, so it's Dench. Then it is going to be Hawes. Then Ian Taylor from 1080 going through the line. Looks like Dubash just on his way. Dr. D making his way in to the finish. He comes through across the line alone, just ahead of Sean Ferron. Ferron is not all that far behind. And again, another rider who's got to watch behind him because coming quickly is Evans. Evans has got the higher watts per kilo, and it really does take its toll. You come up to the line so quickly, it's going to be Evans who's going to get this. So Tony Evans comes through just ahead of Sean Ferron. Immediately behind is going to be Andy Scotland. So Scotland rolling up the final section of the climb here. Got a little bit of a gap back to the rider behind. It's going to be Ted. Andrew Edwards on his way in towards the line, and Edwards now pushing in underneath, nicely coordinating his cap to his gantry there, as we see Sonia Inslee, who's the rider who's going to take the women's top spot. She took it in the sprints. Is she going to do the same in the jersey? Is she going to get a green jersey? She does indeed, and Sonia coming through with 8 minutes dead. That's a fast time. So looks like she's passed a number of riders in terms of speed on the way up the climb. So well done to Sonia. Next up is going to be Mason, and then Garth, our next two riders, with looks like Alistair Cootie, Waller, Cannon and Cow not all that far behind here. So Mason's going to be our next rider in. So Sonia Inslee with an 8 minute climb up there next through Mason. Then it's going to be Garth, of course, one of our regular Donny Chaingang riders. Then it is going to be Cootie coming in to the line here, putting in a good time as well. So Cootie coming through for Chef Reckon 8:42. Next up will be Waller. So Ash Waller going to be our next rider in to the finish on those deeper wheels. So Waller, then Cannon as they come to the line. So Waller coming through there ahead of Cannon by 34 seconds. Waller setting a new PB again, which is what we want to see. So let's get Steve Cannon into the line into the gantry. Then we're going to be heading across to Ross Downing, the bear who was definitely growling tonight, but didn't quite make it over the line in first place. But interesting to see a little bit of a shake-up, and maybe those gaps not quite as big due to the heat, due to the work that people have been doing off the bike as well as on. So Cannon's going to be our next rider to the finish at 9%. A gradient at the moment. Takes a ring, I'm not surprised. But one more turn to go. Going to see the gantry coming. And great riding here by Cannon on his way towards the line. Clear of the Red Beacon group by 2:16. And I think our last rider was likely to be Jim Flynn. So Steve Cannon going through the line there. Cannon's time across the line 9:29. It's going to just drop back and watch our Red Beacon on the way up towards the top. Let's see if we can grab a quick chat with the man that is the Yellow Beacon. Russ, are you live? Are you still with us?
Currently pedaling at 23 revs per minute.
I'm not surprised. For a steady sort of ride, that was it went a bit mad towards the end.
Oh, it was always going to do, you know, it was like Kay's Bears, weren't we, all of us? So yeah. It was good at the end. It's good tempo, you know, we were all squeezing it, but we had 4 or 5 in that front group, and then we dropped them on the running. So yeah, it was good. I had one last effort in me, and I knew those guys were climbing better than me, so I just tried to crack them, and then I cracked myself. I just absolutely blew.
Sometimes that's the way, isn't it? You know you've only got so much left, and you just go for it, and it is kind of, you know, all or nothing, and sometimes it's all, occasionally it's nothing. So it's nothing to be gained though by waiting. No,
it's like I always say, I can't climb, so that was my opportunity there. If I could have cracked them, then that was that. But I knew I wasn't going to do. It's like me attacking on a climb is just like, well, I tried, it didn't work. It never will.
Well, it was good today, and interesting to see Mr. Coleman sprinting well to take that sprint jersey early on, and still having something left in the legs a little bit later. Mason, I think, paying the price for those super watts that he can kick out, just paying for it in terms of maybe super kilograms.
Yeah, and then he said, you know, he had to get off. He just messaged me, said he jumped off at 7:02 or something. So yeah.
Any excuse, eh?
Exactly. Just get him in early. You may as well not turn up because you've got all these excuses, like.
Well, not that you can talk, because I did see a message blaming it all on the disc wheels.
Well, you know, they bogged me down. I got to within the last K at the top of the hill, so you know, something happened. I think the resistance and everything just got on top of me, and yeah, so mine's a better excuse than having to climb. At least I finished the bike ride, didn't I?
Well, that's true. That is true. So well done, Russ. We are going to let you go get those legs stretched out and get some Velaskin soothing gel on them, and looking forward to seeing how we get on Thursday at Beach Island, which is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good. I think a lot of comments last time when we went there. They really enjoyed the course. It was up, down, it was flat, so it should be good. So hopefully, you know, if we have the numbers like tonight, it'd be nice. We'll do 2 laps really steady, 2 laps go for it. So you know, it'll be nice and easy. And there'll be some groups out on the road.
That'll be good. That'll be good, and it's definitely a course where you want a group with you. Well, enjoy a little bit of a cool down if you can find somewhere cool, and we'll catch up with you on Thursday, Russ. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
So great to catch up with Russ. Our riders are well on the way up the climb, just coming up towards that final turn. And that looks to me like Ellis, our Red Beacon tonight, climbing with the man who's done more Red Beacon turns than anybody else. That is Martin Bolt, the 2 riders together. as they come up towards the slight right, then the left. Now they're not actually going to have a view of the gantry if they're using their standard camera, and this is where riders who can multitask get the advantage, because you'll be able to see if you've got a drone cam on the go. You can just see it peeking out of the corner of the screen. Martin Bolt, I think, knows the climb, whether he's got a view of the gantry or not. Pushing on towards the top here, so it's going to be Martin Bolt, the next rider in through the line here, as Bolt comes up to the gantry, just distancing our red beacon here. So it's Martin Bolt from Kirklees coming up. He's going to be in the next rider in, and through 1 hour 24 of riding. Immediately behind, it's the man who took on those red beacon duties. A massive thank you to Liam Ellis of the Stellaton, doing the business for us here, and a big thank you to all of the people who volunteered to be beacons for us over the course of the last year and a quarter. So next up is going to be Jim Flynn. Jim just on the ascent here, and again not all that far from the side of the course and from the gantry. So Jim out of the saddle, 250. Watch, you can just see that gantry peeking out on the side of the screen there. And Jim has certainly put out some big numbers here on his way up the climb. So as Jim climbs, we want to say a massive thank you to all of our riders, to Russ, the yellow beacon, and the inspiration for the riders out on the ride. The red beacon to Liam, as to all of you for watching. A massive thank you, of course, to all of our supporters who've looked after our riders, everybody from Nonners and Muck-Off right the way through to our really big key supporters, people like Halo, OT, Veloskin, 1080, Velo Viewer, Grand Tour Coffee, a Gritty as well. The whole event, of course, is a co-production between Russ and myself, Matt Payne. So Donny Cycling and Full Speed Events getting together to bring you the Donny Chaingang week in, week out. Our way to give a little bit of something back to the cycling community during the very first lockdown, and it's continued onwards since, and we've been supported in that, not just by the supporters that you see on the screen, but by a whole host of others who've helped us along the way. And of course the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, the DCG Gang, because the DCG Gang is how we keep the show on the road. It keeps the computers rolling, it keeps the aircon moving, it keeps all of the wheels rolling for us as well, and we couldn't do it without the members of the DCG Gang. So a massive thank you to the Supporters Club. Make sure you subscribe to the Donny Cycling YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. It's been great to bring you all of the action here. From myself, Matt Payne, and from everybody on the Donny Chaingang, enjoy the sun. Keep out of the sunburn areas, and don't forget Veloskin, and of course some suntan cream, absolutely essential at the moment. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for watching.